regarding research in India. So before I begin, I would like to give you a brief idea, a plan as to how our lecture would be proceeding today. So I have divided today's lecture into three parts. The first part, obviously, as I was telling you, would very briefly look at the myths about research in India, and I would try to tell you what the reality is, what the myths are and what the reality is. In the second part of the lecture, as we have in our syllabus, I would be looking at the webinars and online workshops. Yes, we are having a flurry of webinars and online workshops happening these days, and it is very important that we need to know something about these things, not a lot of theoretical things, but some practical knowledge as to we wanted to discuss how to look at workshops and webinars and online seminars from the perspective of one, an organizer, and two, as a participant. So as a participant, we want to think about things like which webinars we should attend, how to attend, such things. So that will be the second part of today's lecture, and at the the final part, the third section of my lecture would be about where I should publish my research online. Again, that is a very very hotly debated, yes, but very confused, an area where there is a lot of confusion among students and faculty as well. So where we can publish, how to publish, what is authentic, which journals are authentic, which journals are not authentic, what is UGC care, and what will happen if I don't publish in UGC care listed journals, whether my publication would go waste if the UGC withdraws a journal from the list. So here I would be looking, my focus would be on the authenticity criteria for publishing. So when you are going to publish your research online, what are the things that you need to look at? So these will be the thrust areas for our lecture today. So first, we will look at the myths surrounding research in India. Yes, we all are doing a lot of research. I don't think anybody is there who is not researching. Whether you are a student, whether you are a teacher, whether you are a scholar, you are always researching, and that is one way of silencing those people, the society. What are you doing? I am a researcher, I am doing research. But do we actually know the things about research, or are we more misinformed than informed about research, especially in the Indian context? Because we are a group where we have a lot of Indian students and Indian research scholars attending this program. So definitely I would like to look at the myths about research from a specifically Indian point of view. So the first thing that we all are made to believe, the first thing that we all are made to believe is that research must be and should be a boring activity. We are never allowed to think even that research can be a creative activity. We are told that research is a scientific enterprise, it is objective, it should be empirical. There are a lot of scientific terms attached to research, and because of that, what we tend to believe, or what we are expected to believe these days, is that research must be a very boring, dry, dreary activity. Nothing can be farther from the truth. Though many people believe that this should be so, it is wrong. That is what I want to tell you. Research can be a creative activity. I will not go into details, but what I want you to understand is, see, there is nothing like you should do research in only a particular way, that you should write only in certain particular ways. You can be creative, and I am basing my argument not on my personal choice or my personal prejudice. Yes, I am interested in creative writing. I write poetry. I love creative activities, but that is not why I am telling you that research can be a creative activity. It is a mistaken notion that prevails in the Indian academy, that research must not be creative. I will give you a few examples as to why research can be creative, or why research should not be so dry as we understand it today. My dear friends, we are not usually told about these things about research. I will give you certain names of people who are vociferously arguing for making research a creative activity, because we should also be able to enjoy our research. What is the purpose of all research if it is only to satisfy certain criteria set by the UGC for appointment, or for an interview purpose? So is it just this criteria that we are trying to satisfy by doing research? Shouldn't we be able to enjoy this thing? So I would like to give you the names of a few people actually who are doing a lot of work to let the world realize. And these days they are live on YouTube. They are coming live on YouTube channels, on discussions, telling the world that research must be essentially a creative activity, especially in streams like ours, the arts and humanities stream, why should we be thinking everything in scientific terms when there is a lot of scope for being creative? So the names I want to suggest, if you want to know further about these things, the names like Richard Lanham, Lanham, Richard Lanham. I will come to him later because I have certain very interesting things to say from his ideas on research. Then Strunk and White, they have been very vociferous as well in telling the world that research must be creative. Helen Sword, she has a YouTube channel, and every day I think she publishes publishes a video where she tells certain points as to how research can be a creative activity. Helen Sword, a great professor. Then people like Peter Elbow, William Sincer. See, these people are all telling the world, especially the people from the third world and India, because a lot of rugged, monotonous, repetitive, dry research is being produced in India. So William Sincer, for example, he identifies two terms as the most important qualities for effective academic writing. Think about it. What are the important qualities of effective academic writing? We are not speaking about creative writing, academic writing. What could be the two most important qualities of effective academic writing? We are thinking about so many things, being objective, being impartial, or having a methodology, having a plan. See, we have a lot of ideas, but William Zinser, Zinser, he says the two most important qualities of effective academic writing are humanity and warmth. He's not a nobody in the research academic circles, and he says humanity and warmth are very important in effective academic writing. Humanity, there should be a human element, and warmth, what is warmth? Emotion. So you can have humans in research, you can have humans doing research. I know you will be thinking, then why, sir, why can't we use I and you in our research? Yes, we can have humans in research, and there must be some warmth, there must be some emotion, there must be some passion about what you are doing when it comes to research. So two important qualities. Peter Elbow, he says, he urges, actually he exhorts academic writers to construct their research arguments by weaving together two strands of thinking, the critical and the creative. We need the critical strand, of course, it is research. We need the scientific empirical method. But Peter Elbow also says that you have to pay equal importance to the creative strand while you are doing your research. Okay, so you can be creative, and how can we be creative while we are doing our research? There are many small things that we can do to make our research artistically appealing and attractive. One thing, you can use eye-catching, interesting titles and subtitles. A beautiful title is a very warm welcome you are extending to your reader. You are giving a glass of juice, some delicacy to your guest and to your reader, and telling him, yeah, please look at my article, please look at my research paper, see how beautiful, how wonderful it is. So you are inviting, we are seducing your reader by telling that I have a beautiful title. So when you have a beautiful title, it is like the first impression. We say that first impression is the best impression, and to create a good impression we need eye-catching, artistic titles and subtitles. Then see, these points I am saying not from any of my personal assumption, but based on lot of research that has been conducted by experts in the area of academic research, especially academic research conducted by the big names today, some of the greatest academic writers today who are regularly publishing their articles in high profile, well reputed academic journals that are Scopus indexed and whatever you want to say. So these people who are publishing very good quality articles in very good quality journals are doing these things. One, they have good titles, artistic titles and subtitles. Two, they use first person anecdotes, telling a story. They're telling experiences from their own lives, taking certain anecdotes, certain things that happened in their life. See, the purpose is to humanize the author. See, the moment you realize that you are communicating with a person, there is a human element, there is a human interaction happening, and it gives the text a human flavor. So that is something that effective academic writers, successful academic writers do. Third thing, they use catchy opening paragraphs, artistic opening paragraphs that may recount an interesting story even. Do you think that we can write a story in a research paper or an MPhil thesis or a PhD thesis? No, right? Yes, we can. Good writers do that. Good writers do that. Another thing they do, they give numerous examples. They cite a lot of examples, especially when they are explaining abstract concepts. You need not always have to write like write a Lacan or a Foucault. You can give simple examples so that people will understand what you are saying. Yeah, you can show off your pedantry and your erudition by using high sounding words and everything, but that should not be the real purpose, right? See, we should make our reader understand what we are saying, and for that examples are a very good means. And effective academic writers use visual illustrations, they use photographs, they use drawings, they use reproductions to convey to the audience the idea that they have in their mind. And all these are very good means of captivating the attention of the reader and keeping him earnest in your research work. And good writers, they use humor. Whether it is explicit or understated, they use humor in their research paper. It is not like you can write a lot of slapstick comedy you can mix a lot of slapstick comedy into your writing. No, the idea is a little bit of humor is also good. It is part of life, right? And research, why should we separate research from everything that is human and lifelike? So there can be a bit of humor as well. But of course, I give you a warning. See, I am saying this, many people are saying this, but this is not well accepted and received in the Indian academic circles. And so many of our supervisors will frown if you do any of these things. So be careful. But why I am telling is, you are teachers, you are teacher aspirants, and you are teaching teachers to be teachers. So at least you should tell them that these are misconceptions, these are wrong things. We can be artistic and creative in our academic writing. So the first myth. The second myth I want to tell you is, there is a belief in our country that we should not be using the first person or the second person in research. I and you should be absent. There should not be any I or you when I write a research paper. So we have to write in an inhuman zone or a non-human zone when we are doing our research, where I and you will not have the courage to speak about us. And so when you ask why, if somebody is naive, see, we are not allowed to ask why, right? They just tell us that you should not use the first person or second person in research, and if you have the courage to ask why, maybe they will tell us that yes, see this is research. Research is different from your silly I and you things. We are expected to be objective. We are expected to write like scientists. My dear friends, let me tell you, are the scientists writing like this? I will compare. It's an interesting study that I did based on some of the statistics I got recently, and it showed me very clearly that the scientists who are working in atomic science, think about it, atomic science about nuclear energy or whatever it is, see, they are the people who have nothing to do with human beings, I guess. Very little they have to do with human beings in their research. Interestingly, they use I and you far more frequently than we use in our academy, in the Indian academy. Only in the Indian academy we have this problem with I and you. Look at the books that are published abroad. Look at the university guidelines given by the established universities abroad. There is no antagonism towards the first person or the second person. But what happens when we look at research that is being produced in our own country? The scientists are in fact using a lot of I and you in their research, while the art researchers from arts and humanities field, they are scared of using I and you. Very strange, because we call our field humanities, and in humanities we are very afraid of using the human being, I and you. And what do? Sometimes we use the royal we. I am writing a paper, but because I cannot use I would say, we would like to argue. I am we, because earlier kings used to call themselves we, like that. Myself, instead of saying I would say, we would like to argue. Or I would include you as well. I cannot say I and you. I would rather say we. I, who is the writer, and you, who are the reader. So we can conclude from these points, we can conclude, or sometimes we will use very awkward, silly third person constructions. That is what we are told, right? The present researcher argues, the present researcher has found, the present writer, the writer has observed. Instead of saying I have observed, we are saying the writer has observed. And who is this writer? But I. But we are not allowed to use I. See how illogical the things that we are told are. And sometimes we will use the paper or the study in place of I and you. We will say this paper examines, the present scrutiny examines, this example demonstrates. Can an example demonstrate? Why are we giving this human quality to examples and papers and research works, and distancing ourselves from humanity, from the human element? Are we trying to tell the world that no, we are no longer human, we are only machines? No, that should not be the case. So there should not be such things. And sometimes we use twisted sentences that are convoluted and constructed in the passive voice. It can be shown the research was performed, passive voice, all because there is this unnecessary rule that tells us that we shouldn't be using I or you. And it is very natural for us to speak in terms of I and you. It is the natural way of human speech. So why should we worry too much about using I and we when it is naturally coming to us as human beings? And one very simple way to establish a good contact, we say eye contact. Likewise, in a research paper, the best way to contact, best way to have a personal bonding with the reader is to use the personal pronoun you. And Richard Langham, he famously posited this problem in a beautiful phrase. He said, our Indian research today is like we cannot understand who is kicking whom. This is his statement. We don't know who is kicking whom. The idea is Jim kicks Bill, but we are not allowed to use this first person or second person or third person, nothing. So we are asked to write in such a manner that ultimately the reader will not understand who kicked whom. And I will just read a few sentences from what he has written. I will just quote him. No student these days feels comfortable writing simply Jim kicks Bill. The system seems to require something like, one can easily see, he is saying, sometimes we will write like this, one can easily see a kicking situation is taking place between Bill and Jim. Instead of saying Jim kicks Bill, we will say one can easily see a kicking situation is taking place between Bill and Jim. We complicate a simple thing like that, and that is something that we can do. Or he continues, this is the kind of or sometimes we will say, this is the kind of situation in which Jim is a kicker and Bill is a kicky. Jim is a kicker and Bill is a kicky. Oh my God, what is happening? Who is kicking? Who is kicked? We don't know. Jim is a kicker, Bill is a kicky, so we have to look at the dictionary even sometimes to see who is the employer and who is the employee. We do that sometimes, right? We get confused. So this is how we are forced to write in our academic writing. So Jim cannot enjoy kicking Bill. If a school student is writing, he says, a school student is expected to write, kicking Bill is an activity hugely enjoyed by Jim. You cannot say Jim enjoys kicking Bill. You have to say kicking Bill is an activity hugely enjoyed by Jim. So this is the second premise, the second myth that I would like to bust regarding research in India. You can use I and you. There is nothing wrong with using the first person, and the best academic writers in the world all use the first person and the second person in their research articles published in good quality journals. Then the third point I would like to share with you, the third myth. There is a common misconception that whenever we publish a research paper, we should write the name of our research guide as the co-author of the paper. This misconception, I am sorry to say that this misconception is usually provided, or this misconception is actually injected into the brains of our researchers by some research supervisors themselves. They tell us that you should, if you want to publish your research, you have to write my name also as the co-author. And if they are asking who is the first author and the second author, you have to write the supervisor's name as the first author and your name as the second author. The whole work is done by you, and you have to write your supervisor's name just because he or she happens to be your research guide. Doesn't make any sense, and it is not fair. It is not ethical to do that. It is not ethical to put the name of your research supervisor when you are publishing a research paper in which your research supervisor hasn't had any contribution. Understand that. Third thing, and also some students ask me, sir, should I take the permission of my research supervisor when I want to attend a seminar, when I want to attend a workshop, when I want to present this paper? Absolutely not. Yeah, the requirements for PhD says that the requirement says that you have to publish 2 papers as part of your research. Maybe there you have to take the help of your research supervisor. You can submit it to your supervisor. The supervisor will read and correct and edit and approve, and then maybe you can write the name of your supervisor as well for better clarity and better transparency. Of course, if your supervisor has helped you in that research paper, definitely you have to write your research supervisor's name, no doubt about that. But otherwise, just because somebody is your supervisor, it doesn't mean that you have to write his or her name as a co-author in whichever papers you publish. Understand that. Third myth. Fourth one, that we believe that research should be published in journals with high impact factor. I have already spoken about these things in detail in my earlier lecture, so I won't go into much detail. Just understand that it is a myth, and the Indian academic circles, in the Indian academic circles, we find this problem rampant. Our managements, our principals, everyone is telling us to publish our papers in journals with high impact factor. But let me tell you, in arts and humanities, impact factor doesn't apply, or impact factor is not calculated for the arts and humanities research journals. Remember that. And I have taken this idea. This is not my idea. This is not my statement. Yeah, you will be doubtful. You will have your confusion. If you haven't listened to me earlier, you will have doubts regarding why I am saying this, because everybody is saying we have to publish our papers in journals with high impact factor. My dear friends, please understand it. This rule is applicable to the sciences and social sciences, but it is not applicable to the humanities. Arts and humanities journals cannot have an impact factor because it is not calculated. And this is said not by me, this is said by the people who are publishing, who are the biggest database owners. Go to the website of Clarivate Analytics that owns the database known as Web of Science. Check, and they will not tell that openly, but somewhere, because it is necessary for them to say that, somewhere in their website they will be telling you that we do not calculate impact factor for arts and humanities journals. It is not a criteria, because impact factor is based on citations, and citation is not considered a category or a criteria for arts and humanities. in arts and humanities, even today, lot of research is happening through books, not through journal articles. So that is why they are saying that. They have explained that in detail as well in their websites. So you can check the website of Scopus, the Scopus website, Web of Science, Clarivate's website. Go to the website of Taylor and Francis. Go to the website of Canadian Institute for Knowledge Development, or go to the websites of universities and reputed colleges that have given guidelines for their students as to where they should publish their journals, research papers. The King's College London, Ohio State University, London Journal of Arts and Science. I am naming some of the most reputed people, most reputed colleges and universities which have categorically declared that impact factor is not a criteria for arts and humanities. So what does it mean if a journal has an impact factor, an arts and humanities journal has an impact factor? Most probably it has done something wrong, and if it has an impact factor above 1, I guarantee you that it is not a good journal, because they are publishing articles which do not belong to their category. They are publishing science or social sciences articles, which is not permitted unless it is an interdisciplinary journal. An arts and humanities journal is not expected to have impact factor. So that is the next thing. Then the fifth point, the fifth myth concerning research in India regarding plagiarism. We think, when you see the websites of some of the very reputed journals, arts and humanities journals that are published in our country today, in India, definitely, because India is the home to about 60% of the fake journals that are being produced in the world. So definitely India, we are proud owners of the fake journals. If you publish in those, you will lose your paper, you will lose your credentials, everything. So when you go to the websites of some of these very reputed, within double quotes, very reputed journals, you will see that they are using Grammarly for plagiarism detection. They say like this: see, we are very strict regarding plagiarism. We will not allow plagiarism, and we will check your paper on Grammarly for plagiarism checking. Wrong. Grammarly is not an accepted software for plagiarism checking. Yesterday I was telling you about the problems and the uses of Grammarly. Today what I am telling you is Grammarly is not meant for plagiarism checking. There are other software for that. There is Turnitin and there is Urkund. Use them, not Grammarly. So Grammarly is not a plagiarism detection software, one thing. Then many people think, in India, think that plagiarism can be removed using a software. Again a myth. They think that Turnitin or Urkund is a plagiarism removal software. Absolutely wrong. They don't remove any plagiarism. What they do is they will tell you how much percent plagiarism is there in your research, and indirectly, they help you detect plagiarism, and indirectly they will help you remove plagiarism. But removal of plagiarism has to be done by the human being himself, has to be done by the researcher himself. There is no software that can remove plagiarism. So another thing, and regarding plagiarism, there is a belief in our country, especially among people who have submitted their PhDs, that self-plagiarism is okay. There is nothing wrong with self-plagiarism, and because of the increase in the number of papers being published, fully 100% self-plagiarized papers you can find in some of the reputed journals. Why that happens? Because there is a mistaken belief that self-plagiarism is not plagiarism. But 2-3 months earlier, the UGC came up with a notification stating very clearly that self-plagiarism is plagiarism, and it is wrong to take ideas from your own research. See, you can cite it. If you have said something extraordinary in your research, you can cite it, no problem. Preferably don't cite yourselves often, because that is considered an unethical and a marketing kind of strategy. But if it is necessary, you can do that. But taking one part of your thesis and publishing, I have published a thesis, I have submitted my PhD. Now what I will do next is I will cut parts of this thesis and present that as paper. So I will have 10 or 20 publications from my thesis itself. That's wrong. And there is another mistaken belief that once I have done my PhD, or once I have taken a topic for PhD, I should publish papers related to that topic alone. Absolutely not. It is good if you can publish papers related to that. It is a requirement that you have to publish a couple of papers related to that topic, but it is not like you have to publish all your papers related to that topic only. Then where are you growing? You have to know things, and you are teachers. You are not expected to know about one particular image used by one particular poet in one of his poems. You are expected to know lot many things. So if you concentrate only on that one particular topic that you have chosen for your PhD, how will you grow as a researcher? How will you grow as a teacher? How will you grow as an individual? It will not happen. So don't ever believe that papers should be published based on the topic that you have chosen for your research. Then there is a mistaken belief in the academic community today that the UGC permits 10% or 15% or 20% plagiarism. There are many students who argue with me that, sir, you are wrong. The UGC permits 10% plagiarism. The UGC permits 15% plagiarism. Our university permits 15% plagiarism. Our university permits 20% plagiarism. And some students would say, our university is the best. It permits 30% plagiarism. My dear friends, no university, no UGC is going to permit even a single % plagiarism. They don't permit plagiarism. What they say is, it is okay if your thesis has 15% or 10% similarity. Similarity is not plagiarism, and they are not giving you a license to plagiarize by saying that you can have 10% similarity. They say that because we use certain softwares. We use Urkund mostly in our universities. Urkund software is used to detect plagiarism, and the software is not foolproof. It is not 100% correct. So it will find similarity with terms that you use. For example, if you are working on mother tongue influence, see, this term mother tongue influence will be shown as plagiarized whenever you use it in your research paper. But that is not plagiarism. We are saying about something that nobody else has said. It is an original research paper that we are writing, but nevertheless, Urkund or Turnitin, these softwares will say that this word mother tongue influence, mother tongue interference is plagiarized, because they will find that in many other research papers. So they will show that as not plagiarized but as similarity, and so there will be like 10% similarity or 12% similarity in your research paper when you take it through Turnitin or Urkund. So it is okay. That is what UGC or the universities say. They are not permitting plagiarism. They are telling you that yes, because there are such and such technical problems with the software and things like that, it is okay to have a certain percentage of similarity. So that is the idea. Nobody permits plagiarism. Plagiarism is unethical. Then another thing that we discussed yesterday, but I would just refer to that in passing. There is a misconception in India that MPhil is a necessary route to PhD. Absolutely not. It is not a must to do an MPhil before you register for PhD. Absolutely not. There is no such regulation. There is no such rule. Some people do it, but personally I am against MPhil. I don't believe that MPhil has a lot of merit. It's my personal opinion, people can have different opinions, but the UGC or the MHRD are planning to scrap MPhil from the system altogether. That is, such an idea is being rumored. I'm not sure about it. Then another misconception that we have in India is that good journals will publish your papers overnight. For many of us, the criteria for understanding a good journal is it will publish my paper within 48 hours. It will publish my paper in 24 hours. It will publish my paper in 1 week maximum. If a journal takes more than 1 week, it is a bad journal. It doesn't have people. It doesn't have reviewers. That is what we generally think, but nothing can be farther from the truth. See, no good journal, let me tell you, no good reputed journal can complete the peer review process and publish your paper within 48 hours or a week. Normally, the best quality journals in the world take 2 to 3 months or even 6 months to complete the peer review process and publish your paper. So if some journals tell you that they will publish your papers 48 hours after you submit, 1 week after you submit, 24 hours after you submit, please understand that they are fake journals. They are not peer reviewed journals, because I am an editor of a journal. I have been involved in a lot of editing activities. I have friends among the editing field. I have talked to a lot of editors, chief editors, people who are reviewing journal articles, and from them I know very clearly that this process is a time consuming process. They tell you that they will do a double blind peer review. Double blind means not that two blind people will be reviewing your paper. The idea is your identity will be hidden, will be concealed, and the identity of the reviewer will be concealed from you. You will not know who reviewed your paper, and the reviewer will not know who has written this paper. So there will be no prejudice. This is the idea. And to complete a proper peer review process, it will take time, at least 15 days, I would say, at least 15 days. And people who are involved in journal publications, reviewing, people who are on editorial boards, they will know very clearly that it is very time consuming. So if somebody tells you that it is if some journals tell you that they will publish your article in very short time, it is a fake journal. So publishing quickly is not the quality of a good journal. Okay. Then one last thing that I want to tell you, one last myth regarding research in India is that people believe that publishing poetry and other creative work can be included in research publications. Writing poetry is not research. Writing haiku is not research. So please understand that creative works cannot be considered research. So if I have published 10 poetry books, or if I have published 100 poems, I cannot say that I have 100 research publications. Yes, in the past, when I didn't know these things, I used to say such things, that I have 10 publications, 20 publications, because what are those? I have one research paper and I have 9 poems published, and then I would say I have 10 research publications, but that is wrong. Publishing poetry, publishing creative work is not considered a research publication. It is not included in it won't be considered for API score and other promotion related purposes. Yes, you can publish a book, and if it is published properly, and if it has an ISBN number, just because it is an ISBN number, it will not be considered a proper book. But who the publisher is, there are many things to consider before a book even can be considered as a published work. You can put all those in your profile, but creative work is not considered research publication. So with that, I would wind up the first part of today's discussion regarding the myths and the confusion regarding research practices in India. Now, let us move to the second part of our lecture: seminars, workshops, and webinars. Today, these days, we call seminars webinars because seminars cannot happen because of lockdown, because of social distancing norms. We cannot have seminars, and we are having a lot of webinars. So here I would like to invite your attention to two aspects. One, what are the things we have to take into consideration when we organize a webinar or a workshop, and two, what are the things we have to take into account when we are participating in a webinar or a workshop. So I don't know why this is included in your syllabus. I don't know whether some of you are planning to organize a webinar. Anyway, let us think about what an organizer should do when he or she plans to conduct a webinar. Usually webinars are conducted by institutions, universities, departments, and one or two people will be interested with the task of conducting everything. They will be called coordinators or conveners. And what are the things that this convener or coordinator has to make sure when he is planning to conduct a webinar? First thing, I'm not see, I have also made mistakes. I have also conducted programs, and it is from my own errors, the things that I have witnessed, the things I have seen, the experiences that I have had, that I am telling you these things. Not like I am foolproof or anything. We all make mistakes, but it is from mistakes that we learn a lot, right? So if you are organizing a meeting, anticipate the doubts and confusions that the participants may have and prepare accordingly. The participants in a conference or a webinar, an online program, I couldn't see them. Wait, I will come to the there was a message. What is it? Students who are going should have the idea of conducting webinars. Excellent. Okay, so it is important that students who are who are going to be teachers must know, thank you for the message, must know how to how to conduct a webinar. So yeah, that is very important. So so I was trying to tell you about how, or sorry, okay, trying to tell you what are the things that you have to take into account when you are conducting a webinar. Okay, so first thing, anticipate the problems that your participants will encounter and answer them beforehand. Prepare, plan well in advance. Secondly, send a meeting request with an attached agenda to all participants and all speakers, describing in detail the purpose of the webinar, who all will be attending, and any expectations as to what need to be achieved during the webinar. We should make everything clear. For example, you are inviting a resource person for your program, but you are just telling him, sir, we want you to talk about deconstruction. Finished. See, you have to give if you are the organizer of a seminar, you have to, of a webinar, you have to tell the person, resource person, well in advance who his audience will be. Otherwise, how will he plan his lecture? If the audience comprises mostly of students, the lecturer has to plan his lecture accordingly. If it consists of mostly of teachers, he has to plan it differently. If it consists mostly of research supervisors, the lecturer will have to plan it according to their requirements. So we have to give all these details to the participants also, how you should get ready for this webinar. See, it is not like all on a sudden, okay, there is a webinar today at 3:30 p.m. So quickly I come and sit and I attend the webinar. That is not how we want a participant to attend. We want them to be prepared. We want them to have some background reading, if you want. Of course, you tell them what all things you expect from the participants and the speakers during the webinar, so that they will have a clear idea. The participants should know about the speakers, and the speakers should know about the participants. The audience should know the speaker, and the speaker should know the audience, so that both of them can do things accordingly. And tell them clearly the purpose of the webinar. See, we don't have any purpose. We just want to conduct some program because it is corona season and every department is conducting a webinar. So we also wanted to conduct a webinar, that's all. If that is the maybe that is a purpose. But sometimes we would like to say, sir, our students are struggling to make sense of deconstruction. They do not know what deconstruction is. So it would be great if you could enlighten them regarding the various aspects of deconstruction and how deconstruction can be actually applied to a text. So if you tell the speaker, it will be very clear. And you should also tell the participants what are the things that you should be ready with, because you communicate with the speaker and the speaker will tell you, I would like the audience to read such and such poems before they come for the lecture. Okay, that will be good, because so that the speaker will not have to spend a lot of time reading those poems or explaining the story of a novel. No, the participants will be ready well in advance. So do those things, do the background work properly and well in advance. Third thing, as the coordinator or an organizer of a webinar, of course you have to ask people to register. If you have to ask people to register, don't ask for unnecessary personal information to apply for the conference. Nowadays, when you have to apply for a seminar, yes, they say that participation is free, registration is free, but when you see the application form, Google form, where you have to fill the details, they are asking about everything. They are asking about your, why should we know about all these things? I don't know. Why should somebody know about my gender if they have to admit me for a conference? Or why should somebody know about my PAN card number or my Aadhaar card number, or why should they need my photo? Why should they want verification regarding my email? If I have given my email, why should they want to get it verified? And what is the basic details may be required to communicate with you, but why should they want our full address? So ask people only necessary details. Don't yes, if I want to attend a seminar, and if the seminar people are asking me for a lot of information, but if I really want to attend that seminar, then I will give the details. But don't exploit the helplessness of the participant. Don't ask for too many personal details. Then, next thing, know your platform well in advance. On which platform are you going to conduct this program? Is it going to be Skype, or is it going to be Zoom, or is it going to be Google Meet, or whatever it is going to be? You have to tell your audience well in advance, and you should know well in advance what software, what application you are using for the webinar. Why? See, you send an application, call for papers, or call for you send a notification saying that you are conducting a webinar on such and such a date, and you ask people to register. You allowed thousands of people to register. 1,543 people registered, and then you are thinking which platform to use. I will use Zoom, or I will use Google Meet. Suppose Google Meet. Okay, Google Meet, good, it's a very good platform, I would say, they would say. And then only I am thinking, oh my god, how many people can I accommodate on Google Meet? Only 250 people, that is what Google says. Oh my goodness, only 250 people, but 1,500 people have already registered. Problems. Even then you won't realize that Google Meet will not allow even 250 people if you don't have a G Suite. You need a G Suite and a proper account if you have to accommodate 250 people. Otherwise, Google Meet will allow only 100 people. 100 people. So 1500 people registered and you make it available only for 100 people. So many people will be dissatisfied. So don't do that. Understand your platform well in advance, study about it, practice on it before you do anything, so that you should have a very good understanding. As the organizer, you should know the platform very well. And if you don't want everyone to join, if you will use a qualification criteria, if you say that yeah, everyone can apply, but we will accommodate only for 200 people. Suppose we want only 200 people for our lecture. It is your right, but you should tell them what is the qualification criteria. You can say we will accommodate only 200 people. Our criteria is first come, first served. So whoever applies first, the first 200 people to apply will be allowed to participate. Everybody can apply, no problem, but only the first 200 people. But you have to say that well in advance. Or if you have some other selection criteria, if you want to say that okay, if there are more participants, yeah, we will accommodate only 200 people, but if more number of people apply, then our selection will be based on such and such criteria. We will give preference to research scholars over teachers, or we will give preference to college students over teachers. Whatever it is, whatever your criteria is, say that well in advance, so that there is no confusion, and the participants have a right to know why their application is rejected or why they are not allowed to enter a meeting, right? Then of course, so that is another thing. Then one thing that we can do, and it is a little bit technical, but one thing that we can do, and it is a very good practice that I find being employed by some of the organizers, it is integrating a calendar schedule to your meeting, so that you can avoid all human error. So that a message will go to all the participants saying that this is happening, this and at this particular time, on this particular date, and this is the login details, this is the password. All those things will be integrated to the calendar, that you don't have to type in these details to enter. It's very convenient. So if you can use a calendar integration to schedule your meeting using Google has that feature, Google Calendar has that feature, and there are other calendars as well that will allow you to integrate scheduling meetings, so that at the exact time the calendar will tell you if a program is there at 3:30, it will remind you the previous day that you have a program tomorrow, and then it will remind you 30 minutes before that you have a program coming up at 3:30, and at 3:30 when you click on that calendar notification, you will it will enter all the details. So you don't have to worry about remembering the ID or the password or the link, nothing. So the calendar will look after these things. So if you are technically tech savvy, if you know those things, it will be very good to learn. If you don't know, learn it. Learn to integrate calendar scheduling to your meeting, so that it will be a great convenience for your participants. Then obviously have a rehearsal beforehand. Before you go live, before you conduct the program, have a rehearsal, have a pakka rehearsal, perfect rehearsal with almost whatever you can arrange everything, and then have a rehearsal, because technology is very circumspect. We cannot trust technology these days. So yeah, we cannot anticipate all the problems that will happen during a webinar, but if you are organizing a webinar for the first time or the 100th time, still you have to do a rehearsal to make sure that everything is all right. Test your app beforehand. If the meeting is at 3:30, yeah, you tested it yesterday, but just make sure that you test it today at 2:30 also, to make sure that everything is fine. Maybe there can be a network problem. something can happen and it is under nobody's control, but if we can solve it, that would be the best thing. No, so have these rehearsals and tests. And then an interesting thing, recently I attended a webinar, and there I mean, I'm not making fun or anything. See, I will use a pseudo, somebody is presenting. Okay, thank you. So during that meeting, the organizer of the meeting had his name and picture. You know, the organizer's name and picture will be shown on the side or somewhere he joined the meeting. All these things will be shown. So it applies to the participant as well, but the organizer, be very careful. Don't use a silly picture where you are not properly dressed. What happened in this seminar was, I'm not using the exact name. This organizer used organizer's username in that application was witch hunter, and some people use killer Tom. Don't use such names. Use a proper name. If you don't want to reveal your name, fine. But if you are the organizer, it is better to reveal your name. So you can say either put the name of your college, XYZ college, as the organizer, or your own name, Professor such and such. Write your name and have a good photograph. I mean, presentable photograph. I don't say it should be very professional or anything, but it should be presentable. Have a good, it applies to the participants as well. Then another very important thing to remember is, recently I saw a brochure where they had mentioned everything, and they had said that the meeting would start at 8. At 8 what? Immediately people responded on the WhatsApp group. At 8 what? PM or AM? We have to specify whether it is AM or PM, and that is important. And don't always think that your participants will be only from India or from your time zone. So also make sure to confirm the time zone. If it is Indian Standard Time, mention the meeting will happen at 3:30 PM IST, or whichever time it is GMT. So if you can give the conversions as well, it will be convenient, because don't expect that nobody will join. Sometimes, what if somebody from some other country wants to join, but they will not know the timing, and they will wait for 3:30 in their time zone, and by then this meeting would be over. So make sure that you mention the time zone in your brochure, especially when it comes to webinars, because it will go far and wide. You cannot control the dissemination of this brochure. So it will reach people who are outside your country, outside your continent. So mention the time zone very carefully when you are when you are conducting a seminar. As the organizer, you have to clarify the time zone. Then, as the organizer, yes, you have a lot of things to do, but most of us are not very good at multitasking. The organizer or the coordinator will have a lot of things to do, and at least during the program, during the telecast, during the streaming, please make sure that there are not too many things in your hand, or don't try to multitask. Don't see, the organizer has to do a lot of things, but so it will not be practical for him to keep track of the time, keep track of all the participants, and then note down all the questions to be asked to the resource person at the end of the program. It is not always practical. So it is always a good idea to assign roles to others. share your responsibility. Don't say that I am the all in all, I am the coordinator, so I will manage everything. Give small roles to other people as well. One person to be in charge of introducing the resource person, another person to make sure that the timings are kept, another person to note down the questions that are posed by the participants during the course of the lecture. All those things, if you assign to different people, then it will go very systematic. Don't think that you should do everything yourself. Don't do a lot of multitasking. They say women are good at multitasking. I don't know, but personally my experience is I cannot multitask. I cannot do more than one thing at the same time. So if you are not very good at it, definitely you should share the responsibilities with others so that everything will run smoothly. Then yes, it is an online program. Yes, you have to rely on technology. So there will be internet issues, there will be power issues. We cannot prepare for every eventuality, but we can do certain things. We can be there before time. We can check things, make sure that the connection is there, connection is stable. Have some plan B also. If something goes wrong, what to do? Have some plan B also. It is not always likely that your plan A will work 100 out of 100 times. Sometimes something will go wrong. It is good to have a plan B, but technology is not under anybody's control, so it is there. That problem is there. That is there. Then another thing you have to remember is you are the organizer and you are expected to attend the program. The organizer leaving the program in the middle of the lecture would be very disappointing for at least the speaker. The speaker expects, if there is no one listening, at least the speaker expects the organizer to listen to his lecture. So don't go in the middle of the lecture. Yes, you may have some purpose. You can. I'm not saying you must not leave at all, but preferably attend the lecture from the beginning to the very end. One thing. And for that, it is important that you keep all the things that you need at hand. For example, you want to introduce the chief guest, so you have all the details written. This person has done his PhD on this particular topic, he was teaching there, he was teaching this, all these details you have written down. But those written notes, if those things are not close, how will you do that? So make sure that all those things are with you. Make sure that all the resources you will need to conduct the program are at hand. Then after the seminar, make sure that you don't make unnecessary demands on the part of participants for certification. For example, I will give you just one example. To prove that you have attended the seminar, you have to take a screenshot at the 15th minute, at the 30th minute, at the 45th minute, and at the 60th minute. They have to take a screenshot, and then there will be further directions. You have to take the screenshot with you and the lecturer on the screen, all these things to prove that you attended the webinar. That is only then we will give you certificate. So everybody is bothered about certificates, and everybody is bothered about what you call taking this snapshot, taking this screenshot, and so the lecture gets disrupted. The participants will be disturbed, and they will be thinking about 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So don't make such unnecessary demands from on the part of the participants to get a certificate. Make it simple. See, if you don't trust that your participants will attend, don't give certificate. But don't do such nasty things as if the participant is a criminal. The participant feels, oh, the organizer doesn't trust me. I have attended the program, but I haven't taken the screenshot. No, I will not give you certificate. No. See, what happens is, when somebody tries to take a screenshot, he may go live, he may present the screen, his video will come on the screen, so a lot of problems. He may unmute the audio, so a lot of interruption can happen through the lecture. So to prevent all that, don't make such demands on from the participants, especially for certification. Trust your participants. And I don't know, I'm not very sure whether you can fully trust, whether people will misuse your trust or anything, because I have received certificates for webinars that I haven't attended, and I haven't received certificates for webinars I have attended. Many people are having problems, but the UGC has made it very clear that the certificates that you get for these national and international webinars and workshops are not useful. They have made it very clear. So why are we so bothered about certificates? I don't know. People are very concerned about certificates anyway. So don't do that. Then plan your certificates well in advance and inform your participants how the certificate will be delivered, when it will be delivered. All these things should be told well in advance. Now nowadays we are using certain softwares where certify them, things like that are used, so it can give certificate only to 100 people on a particular day. So some 100 people will get the certificate, and they will be very happy to showcase their certificate. They will be putting them on their WhatsApp status, and then I am worried, oh my god, I didn't get my certificate. So lot of messages, lot of confusion. Tell them very clearly that yeah, you will get your certificate, but it will take time. If you want your certificate on the first day itself, please don't participate. It's fine to say that, because it's not humanly possible to provide everyone certificate on the at the exact moment in which the seminar ends. You can tell them beforehand. If they are not okay with it, let them not participate, but tell them beforehand. And be very transparent and clear with the participants. Take them into confidence, tell them things clearly. And at the end of the webinar, it is an important thing that we should remember: plan an effective wrap up. See, for example, I am giving a lecture. At the end of the lecture, I say that okay, now I would like to conclude my lecture and everything. I stopped, and now I am sitting like this. The students are sitting like this, and the organizer doesn't intervene. There is a problem. The organizer has to take charge of the situation. Whenever there is a problem, if there is a technical problem, it is the organizer who has to tell the people what to do, what not to do, has to be in charge. And at the end, it is very important. It happens on in many webinars. It happens with many organizers. They will do everything till then very perfectly, but at the end they will forget to do the wrap up. They will leave. The seminar is over, so they are the organizer is gone, and the poor lecturer is sitting like this, waiting for something to happen, and the students don't know what to do, or the participants don't know what to do. Don't let that happen. At the end of the meeting, you have to do a quick recap of whatever has happened, if you want to do that, and then you should tell everyone what to do. You can tell the speaker, okay sir, we will be taking questions, or you can say, okay sir, thank you for your wonderful lecture, it is finished, so you can leave the meeting now. There are certain instructions for the participants, so the lecturer will know what to do, and he or she will leave the meeting, fine. And then you will ask the participants whatever you can tell the participants whatever you want to tell them, but plan it well in advance and do that properly till the very end. It should be it should end properly as well. So let everyone know what to expect next, so that everyone will be prepared. If you are giving time for participants to ask questions, you should tell well in advance. Before the lecture starts, you have to tell everybody. You have to tell the lecturer, sir, your time stops at exact this time. Otherwise, people like me will keep on talking. Will never stop. Will keep on talking. So that shouldn't happen. So you should tell if you if you are okay with it, fine. Otherwise, you should say the lecture should stop at 4:30, at 4 o'clock, and then there will be a 30 minutes interactive session. So dear participants, if you have any questions, note down your questions and ask them at this such and such time. So there will be a lot of clarity and everybody will be happy. And so these are certain things that the organizer can do. And what are the things that a participant has to do? As a participant, what are the things to be kept in mind while attending a webinar? Before that, there are questions like, which webinars should I attend? Well, I would say attend the webinars you are interested in. Attend the webinars that will help you in your career or help you grow as a person. Your interest and your need, that should be the criteria for deciding which webinars you should attend. And of course, there are other things like some webinars will ask you for payment, some webinars will not ask you for payment, some webinars will not be at a convenient time. So it all depends. Every one of us are individuals and we are sensible people. So we will know which seminar I should attend and which I should not attend. So that is it. And are all webinars authentic? My dear friends, who decides the authenticity of these webinars? Who can decide, or who can say that there is no certifying agency which says that we have allowed such and such webinars and we haven't permitted such and such webinars? Anybody can do that. So we should not be asking that question. If you want to know about it, if there is a webinar on a particular topic and if you are interested in, join, but don't ask about the authenticity or anything, because nobody knows what is authentic and what is not authentic. And it is authentic, I mean, what is authenticity? If the purpose of a lecture is to pass on knowledge, is to give you information, or if you attend a webinar to learn something new, then why worry about the authenticity? And if you don't trust the speaker, for example, you don't know me and I am telling you that impact factor is not a criteria for arts and humanities. So is it an authentic thing? Does he have any sense? So if you have such a confusion, what you can do is you can cross check whatever I have said and make sure that whatever I have said is correct. You have to verify. Don't take everything that the speaker tells on its face value. Then, are the certificates valid? A multi-billion dollar question everybody has. Are these certificates valid? My dear friends, why are we doing everything for certification? Why should we bother so much about certificates? Are the certificates valid? Yes, it is valid. Yes, it is not valid. It may not be valid for certain purposes, but it may be valid for certain purposes. Some people are worried that there is no signature under the certificate. Some people are worried that the name is not mentioned exactly. Some people are worried that the date is not mentioned in the certificate. See, what I would like to tell you is, forget these things. These are not important things. Our real purpose, if you are attending a course or something and if you are paying money, of course you have a right to know about whether the certificate is valid. But in the case of these webinars and workshops, why worry too much about the validity of the certificate and whether this webinar is international or national? I mean, these questions don't really make much sense. Some people are worried, is it a webinar or is it a workshop or is it a lecture? Most often what happens is these ideas overlap. So we cannot say for sure whether something is a lecture or a workshop or a webinar. So don't bother about these things. Be thirsty for knowledge, not for certificates. And certificates will follow. Certificates will follow. I guarantee you, certificates and accolades and all these things, recognition will follow if you are ready, if you are thirsty for knowledge, things will happen. So I just want to tell you that change the attitude, change the pattern of thinking, and don't worry too much about the authenticity or the national credibility or the credibility of the certificates. See, those things we shouldn't bother much. That is my practical suggestion. And then How should I attend a webinar? I think it is very important for us to know the netiquettes, the etiquette we have to follow while we are attending a webinar, and it is very important because so many of us don't know what to do. So I want to give you some practical instructions as to how you should attend a webinar. First thing, dress appropriately, because you don't know when you may go live, when you may have to appear on the screen. Yeah, you are a participant, you may not intend to ask a question, but what if accidentally your video goes live and you are shown, and if you are not dressed properly? So be dressed appropriately, properly. Then learn basic things about the application in which the program is conducted before you join the application. For example, if you are joining WebEx, if you are joining Zoom, if you are joining Google Meet, if you are attending it on YouTube, learn about it a little bit. How to mute your audio, how to turn off your video, what are the things happening, how it happens in this software. All these things you should have a basic understanding. Otherwise, you just join, click on the link, join, and then you are shown on the screen, and the speaker is telling you please turn off your audio, and the organizer is telling you please mute your audio, and you don't know how to do anything with the audio or with the video, and you are shown on the video. So what to do? So you will first turn the video upside down so that the roof of your screen is shown, and then you may throw your mobile because you are totally confused. Don't do that. Know about the application before joining. Another very important thing, mute your microphone and turn off your video before you join a meeting. Whether you join before time or after time or on time or in time, mute your audio and turn off your video. And once you join and make sure everything is fine, if you want, if there is a real reason for it, only then turn on your audio, and don't turn on your video unless you are 100% sure that it is you have a right and you are expected to turn on your video. Be doubly sure about it before joining any meeting. It's very important. It is a very important netiquette. Think like you are entering through the front door of an actual seminar, a real-time seminar that is happening. See, also mute your audio. Yeah, you are not speaking anything, but keep your audio muted. Keep your audio muted, because otherwise what will happen is there is nothing more frustrating than hearing the echo noise from different microphones. For the speaker, for the listeners, everyone will be disturbed. If someone's audio is kept on, not muted, it will disturb everyone. So make sure that you mute your audio all the time, unless it is absolutely necessary to turn on your audio or video. Then, if you are using your webcam, for example, you are attending it live and we are discussing something. So many people are on screen on the webcam. So I am speaking and 5 or 6 people are also there on video live on the screen. Make sure that you use attentive body language. When I am speaking, I want others to listen to me, right? Just like in a classroom. So it would be terrible for me if when I am speaking, when I find somebody turning upside down and looking here and there or drinking something. Yeah, it is okay to drink something, drink some water, but don't eat unless the lecture goes on hours and hours and you are really hungry. If you want to pass on a message to the speaker that sir, it is night, it is time for you to stop, then you can maybe eat or sleep. But otherwise, I mean, fun apart, use attentive body language. If you are on video, sit up straight, don't make big movements unless you are talking. Don't make big movements, and don't let your eyes wander too much. Concentrate. A teacher, anybody who has taught will know that you will teach in a classroom looking at the eyes that are responding to you. You want people to respond to you. You want the head movements, the gestures, everything should be approving, supporting. The speaker always would love to have responsive audience. So that is very important if you are on webcam. Then if you are a participant, don't ask distracting questions. Don't ask distracting questions. Be respectful to the speaker, of course. Some speakers like to engage with the audience, so they will be happy seeing the messages, so they will keep the chat box on and they will be happy to ask questions. So am I audible? Then if 10 people says yes, they will be happy. So there are some people who are interactive and some people who are comfortable with the technology, but some professors may not be very comfortable with those things, with some chat going on. You may be saying that it is a good lecture and things like that, but if get a feel of what your speaker likes and do things accordingly. So be respectful of the speaker, but be respectful of other participants as well. Don't do so many things. It is fine to, if the speaker enjoys interacting, if the speaker encourages the audience to chat, fine. Otherwise, don't. Then don't pester the organizers or the speaker about things like, when will the I haven't received the feedback form. This is the most cliched comment in all webinars these days. Before the webinar, people start asking, when will I get the feedback form? I didn't get the feedback form. Please send the feedback form here. Please send it there. We didn't get it there. We didn't get it here. Don't worry about the feedback form. Why this happens is they think that to get certificate we have to fill up the PDF feedback form. Or if the speaker is using a PPT, don't pester saying that please provide the PPT, please provide the PPT, please provide the PPT in PDF at the end of the lecture. See, if the resource person is ready to share it, he will share it. If the organizers get it, they will share it with you. So don't pester. If one person has said that, of course the organizers will take note of that, and they will do well to make sure that the requests made by the participants are met. Don't say the same things again and again. Don't repeat something because you are not replied. Because you don't get reply, you message the same thing again and again. Don't do that. Then another important thing, another etiquette is, don't leave abruptly. You are a participant, yes, but don't leave abruptly. Sometimes it happens, we may lose network and we may have to leave the meeting. It will happen automatically. It happens, nobody can control it. But if you have some control over it, make sure that you don't leave abruptly. Leave when there is a pause, when a session ends, or leave when there is some situation, when there is a network problem or something. Make it quiet, make it discreet. Don't leave abruptly. And then if there is a network problem, if the video is not good, if the audio quality is not good, don't trouble the organizers with repeated messages. See, they are equally worried. They are even more worried than you are. So why tell them often that please rectify the audio, please rectify the video, I cannot see anything properly, I cannot hear anything properly. What is the purpose? One person has said that, and the organizers are also looking at these videos, and they will know that if there is a problem with the audio or video, and they are trying to rectify it. So give them some space, give them some time to rectify it, because it is under nobody's control. Sometimes the lecture, they will say that the lecture will start at 4 o'clock, but even at 4:30 the lecture may not start. Don't bother them too much. It happens on our roads. If somebody's car or bike is not starting, or it turns off, and they are trying their best to move it, but it is not working, people will honk. They will honk, and there is a lot of noise, and what will happen, the person sitting on the bike or sitting on the car trying to solve the problem and get moving, he gets worried, he gets anxious because of all this honking, and because of that anxiety he will not be able to do the basic things correctly, and everybody's time will be spoiled. So never do that. Have a little bit of patience, have a little bit of empathy for the organizers. They are also human beings like us, so they are setting it right. Give them time, give them time. And don't use the chat box or the video, whatever, to advertise yourself. I hope you understand. Don't advertise yourself or market your products or videos or ideas. There are some people who will say that okay, you can see my video, in my video I have explained these things clearly. So a person wants to market his YouTube channel, or a person wants to market a product, then you put it on the chat. Don't do that, don't do that. This is not the platform for you to advertise yourself or your products. And so these are certain things that we have to remember as the participant. And finally, I move on to the third section of our lecture, and here I would like to look at this very important thing. Where should I publish my research, especially online, or what are the criteria for publishing an article online? I have told you already that impact factor and H-index are myths. So don't trust a journal which has a huge impact factor, or which speaks a lot about H-index and things like that, because in arts and humanities it is not applicable. First thing. Second thing you have to do is to know whether a website is authentic, to know whether a journal is good enough to publish. The UGC has given us a list known as the UGC care list of journals, and please understand that the care list is available at the website ugccare.unipune.ac.in, University of Pune, Savitribai Phule University, Pune. So ugccare.unipune.ac.in. This is the official website of UGC Care, and everybody can create an account on this website, and you can check for yourself, because don't rely on the lists that you get of UGC Care listed journals, because UGC Care list is evolving daily. It is a dynamic list, it changes every day. So it is very important for us to realize that we have to check for a journal before we can know whether it is valid today, because a journal that was there on UGC Care list yesterday may not be there today. So make sure that you check it for yourself. Go to this website, create an account, and check whether they have this wonderful search options where you can check your journal using it, the ISSN number, or the name of the journal, or the name of the publisher. There are many options for you to check, so it's very user friendly. So you can use that website and see whether the journal you want to publish is there on UGC Care list. One thing I want to tell you about UGC Care list is it is evolving. It is a process, and so it is not perfect, but they have done a lot of work to make sure that it is perfect, but it is, it will take a lot of time. So many good journals are still not there on UGC Care list, while many bad journals are there on UGC Care list as well. So it is not a foolproof list, but it will give you some idea whether a journal is good or not. Then this is the next step. Third step, go to the website predatoryjournals.com/journals, https://predatoryjournals.com/journals. There you will find a list of predatory journals. Predatory journals which are trying to prey on you. You are the prey, and it is trying to catch you and exploit you and take your money. So they are bad journals. So the first list is about the good journals, UGC approved journals. This list is about the fraudulent journals, the predatory journals. So make sure, go through this list and make sure that your journal is not there in this list. If the journal you are planning to publish is there on this list, it means that it is a predatory journal. Don't publish in that journal. Okay, so your journal should be there on the UGC care list. It should not be there on this particular website, predatoryjournals.com. It is also a trustworthy list by and large. And then there are a list of practical things that you can do to help you understand whether a journal is good or not. I receive a lot of messages every day asking me, sir, is this a good journal? Is this a predatoryjournals.com/journals. Yeah, that is the name of the website. Yeah, so I get a lot of messages asking whether this is a good journal or whether this is a predatory journal, for fake journal, lot of things. See, I also know the same things only. I'm not an expert or anything. What I will do is I will do the same things, and I am telling you all the procedures that I am doing to know whether a journal is good or not. I will look at whether it has an impact factor, whether it is boasting about an impact factor, and whether it is speaking a lot about 4 impact factor, 5 impact factor. Then I will know that it is a fake journal if it is from the arts and humanities. Then I will check on UGC care list, and if the journal is there, then I will be okay, this may be a good journal, not 100% sure. Then I will go to predatoryjournals.com/journals, and then I will check if the website is there on that particular list, if that journal is there on that particular list. If it is there, then I will know that it is a fake journal. I will stop worrying about that journal. Yes, it is bad. Then there are other steps that I use. See, how to know fake and predatory journals. I will give you some 10 to 15 very practical things. Yeah, it is not an easy process to know whether a journal is good or not, but it is better not to be cheated than spend an hour researching about the journal. That is what I want to tell you. So it is time consuming. You have to do certain procedures. You have to go through these websites, but do that. So the first thing about predatory journals is they will promise you fast publication times. If they say that they will publish in 48 hours, 1 week, most probably it is a fake or predatory journal, because they don't have proper peer review process or quality control. That is why they publish very quickly. So don't trust such journals. Second thing, if a journal has hidden or unclear author fees, publication fees, then it will have something wrong. It will have some naughty purposes. So remember that such journals can be very dangerous. So they will not tell you anything about the publication fees at the outset, but once you submit, they will tell you that yeah, your article is approved for publication. Now you have to pay 2,500 rupees or 2,000 rupees or 5,000. If it is corpus listed, they will say 5,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 or 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh. I'm not joking, this is the reality. So if those things are happening, know that these hidden fees and unclear author fees all tell you that these are fake and predatory journals. Then third thing, predatory journals, fake journals aggressively campaign. They will send emails, they will call you, they will send you messages saying that we have an thing happening and you can submit your article, this, that, we have some extraordinary things happening. Now something very interesting that these fake journals are doing is, when we attend this, when we register for these webinars, we have to submit our email address, and most often the conference organizers, they will send a bulk email to everybody. So every email address will be shown on anybody who is there on the list. That is one thing that you have to remember as an organizer. Don't CC, use BCC when you send emails. Blind copy should be used. So only one person's name should be there on the to list, and all other email addresses should be there on the BCC list, not CC, because people will steal these email addresses, and then what will they do? They will use those email addresses, because they will know if it is a seminar on English language and literature, A fake journal on English language and literature will know that all these people who have registered for this webinar are participants, are interested in English language and literature journal. So they will definitely send their emails to you saying that we are this and this, we have excellent impact factor, we are indexed in this corpus here, there, everywhere. We are doing a lot of things, a lot of great people have published with us. So if you find somebody aggressively campaigning, no good journals campaign, no good journals advertise about what they are doing, because they are very quiet doing their job. But all the bad journals, most of the fake journals advertise very vigorously, very enthusiastically. They will be sending emails and messages, so beware of them. They are fake journals. Then another thing, they will fake journals list academics as members of editorial boards without their permission. For example, somebody like a Pramod K. Nair, an established name in Indian academic circles. So he will not know, and the fake journal people, they will use his name and his designation on their editorial board. And what will we do? We will check the editorial board to see if it is genuine, and we find that, oh my god, big nice people like Pramod K. Nair are on the editorial board of this journal, so this should be a good journal. But poor Pramod K. Nair sir, he hasn't known that they have put his name here. So that is one strategy that fake journals do. So beware of such things, and they will not allow us to resign from the editorial boards. Recently I encountered a similar problem. Somebody put my name in a journal, and many students asked me, sir, when is your journal's call for paper coming? Can we publish in your journal? So I was asking which journal, and they were telling me, sir, your name is there on this particular journal as one of the editors. And then I said, no, I am not involved with that. So it's a predatory journal, they are taking lot of money, so my name is also spoiled. So I immediately wrote to them, emailed to them, because they did not have any contact numbers. I emailed to them asking them to remove my name, otherwise I will complain. And I had to message them 4 or 5 times before they responded, before they agreed to remove my name. So think about it. So this is what is happening with fake journals. And if you are a big name, you will find your name in many editorial boards without your permission. So think of that as well. So just because your professor's name is there on an editorial board, don't trust that journal, because your professor may not have known that his name was included in that journal, or he may have given permission, but he may not have known that this is a fake journal. All these things happen. So good journals will have a clear list of editorial board members with their address and contact details, so that you can actually dial the numbers and call them and ask, sir, is this real journal? Are you a member of this journal? What do you think about this journal? You can ask. See, if their contact details are provided, if their email addresses are provided, then you should be able to email them, right? So they have no right to say, you cannot email me. Don't spam them. But the idea is, if you have a genuine doubt, feel free to ask them. Let them answer you, because they are in a position, they are in the editorial board of a journal, so they should respond to your query. So if there is no clear address and the details of the editorial board members, understand that the journal will be a fake one. Then appointing fake academics to editorial boards. Fake academics. So you create a name, some Edward, Albert or something, some name you create, and you say that this person is working at Oxford or Cambridge, and some address you give, some people who don't really exist. So many fake journals have such long lists, and to make it an international journal, what they do is, see, it is an Indian journal, and then they will have some people from Oman or Saudi Arabia, some people whose name and address cannot be verified. I don't say that all teachers in Oman or Saudi Arabia are bad, but they will somehow manage to find some address from some college website and put some unreal names there and say that okay, this journal has people from other countries in our editorial board, so we are an international journal. Absolutely not. Make sure that they publish, the articles they publish are also international, and when you speak about international, make sure that this international contains papers by some people from some reputed universities in the world. Make sure that if there are papers written by reputed people from reputed universities in the West, in our country also, then maybe you can think that this is a good journal. So think about that. Then another thing that fake journals do is they will mimic the name or website of established journals. Suppose there is a journal called JJRC. I'm just giving a name, JJRC, Research Journal, some journal. So they will also use this name, but the short form will be JJRC, but they will use some other acronym, and so we will be confused. We will be misled into believing that this journal is that journal, and we will submit to that journal and we will be trapped. So make sure that the name is correct, that the ISBN number is correct. All these things you have to make sure. Another thing that fake journals do is they will cite fake impact factors. I told you that for us it doesn't matter, but for science and other subjects as well, for them impact factor is very important. But what these fake journals do is they will cite non-existent impact factors. They will simply say that our impact factor is 4.5 as per what? As per something that they have created. So the chief editor of that journal is the originator and everything of that particular organization, and they will say as per this organization our impact factor is 5.6. so poor people, poor readers, poor researchers will think that okay, it has a great impact factor. We don't think about they will say this, show this 5.6 in very bold font, and in very small letters they will write that as per such and such records, or even they will say that as per Guinness Book of World Records we have this much things. Useless, fake things. Don't trust those things. A journal should have an ISBN number, ISSN number, not ISBN. ISBN is for books, ISSN is for journals. A good journal will have an ISSN number, but every fake journal has an ISSN number these days, so that is no longer a criteria. Then another thing that fake journals do is they will boast about being indexed by social networking sites. I was yesterday telling you that ResearchGate is a very good site for you to for researchers. It is a very good site, but if some journal tells you that that journal is indexed by ResearchGate, it is wrong, because ResearchGate is not an indexing site. Or if a journal says that we are approved by ISSN, International Standard Serial Number Agency, that doesn't mean that they have any approval. Or if they say that we have DOI, that is not an approval. So boasting about these so many indexing and things like that, big boasting is an indication that these are fake journals. Then another very important clue to finding a fake journal is this, and remember this: look at the articles that are published in the journal, look at the titles, look at the subtitles, look at the abstract, and see the language. See the language. This is very important. This is a very good criteria for judging a journal, and most often I personally use this particular criteria because it is the best criteria. Good journals will have good articles, and they will not publish poor articles. Please understand that. A poorly written article that doesn't have grammar or syntax will not be published by a good journal. Please understand that. So if there are so many mistakes in the title and subtitle and in the abstract of the papers that are not just one or two, go through some 20 or 30 papers, just flip through them and see how the language of the papers are. So if the language is bad, it indicates that they are a fake publisher that will publish any trash. You just write something and give it to them, they will not check for plagiarism. There is no peer review, they will publish any trash. So such publishers are very fraudulent in nature. They can trap you, your article will be wasted. So remember all these things. Go through the journal, articles published in a journal, see its quality, language quality, presentation quality, not the pictures in the journal or anything. That doesn't matter. What matters is the quality of the articles, and see who are publishing these articles. See if people from different countries are publishing. See if people from different cultures are publishing. And very importantly, a big indicator to a bad journal is it will publish articles from very different disciplines. See, for example, if it is a arts and humanities journal, such a journal should not publish an article from science or mathematics, right? So if you find articles that have nothing to do with the name and the purpose and the category of the journal, understand that it is a fake journal. It is guaranteed, because good journals will not publish anything that is outside their scope. If it is a language and literature journal, you can imagine what will be the outermost scope of language and literature. A paper on trigonometry or trigonometric equations or whatever, mathematics, such a paper will not find a place in a journal of language and literature. So if you find such a paper, they are making money. They are not doing proper research. They are not good journals. Then this is a very important indicator. Please remember that the papers and the language used in the journal, the introduction and everything, go through that. If it is poor language, because it is language and literature we are dealing with, right? So if a language and literature journal has a poor language, how will they peer review your article? Because they even don't know the language. So that is the thing. Then another thing, the editor-in-chief or the chief editor of the journal may also be the publisher, and most importantly, the chief editor may be on the editorial board of other journals in other fields. Okay, it is okay for a person to be on the editorial board of 3 or 4 journals. It will happen. And if you are very academically oriented, if you are interested in academic work, you will do that. That is fine. But for example, if you find my name in a science journal or a social sciences journal that has nothing to do with me, see, you will check about me and you will find that I am a postgraduate in English language and literature. I am not an MSc in chemistry. I am not an MSc in mathematics. So if my name is there on a science journal's editorial board as well, then I am a fake person. And if this fake person is there on the editorial board of a journal, you can understand that that journal is also fake. Then the journal claims affiliation with a location that doesn't match its exact location. For example, a journal that is being brought out from India has the title the American Journal of Postcolonial Studies. But when you look at the website and its URL, you will find that it is registered in India. So that shouldn't happen. And finally, one most important thing, with that I am concluding my lecture. So bad journals will not have clear plagiarism policy. Bad journals will include articles outside its scope. Bad journals will send you unsolicited emails and invitations to submit papers. And most importantly, most predatory journals take money. If a journal takes a lot of money, see, there will be some expenses. So it is okay if they ask for 500 rupees, fine. But if they ask anything around above 1500, I don't think it will be a good journal. It's my personal opinion. Of course, there are good journals that charge a lot of money, but it is not worth, because it is our article, right? Why should we pay and publish our article? We don't do that. We don't give our mobile phones to someone and pay them for taking that mobile phone, right? So our research paper is the fruit of our labor, so it should not be taken away by somebody without giving us the credit. and taking a lot of money from us is not proper. So with that I conclude my lecture. I hope I have covered almost all the areas that I promised to cover today, and thanks a lot for your very patient listening. If at all anybody is listening, thank you for your very patient listening, and thank you. So I express my gratitude to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. So
If
what?
you have any questions,
Yeah, yeah.
if you have any questions regarding the topic discussed, you can ask. Students, if you have any questions regarding the discussed topic, you can ask.
I don't have any query, ma'am, because it's a well elaborated lecture. All the aspects are explained very well with the examples. It was wonderful.
Thank you. People don't have doubts if the lecture is extraordinarily good or if it is extraordinarily bad. If we understand everything, we will not have any doubts. If we don't understand anything, we will not have any doubts. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Manu sir, for
Thank
your
you.
fruitful session.
Thank you.
And all the details about organizing webinars, roles of participants, role of organizers, and so on, they are very interesting as well as very useful. I will take care of the things also,
Yeah,
because
sure.
I know I have committed so many
No, no,
mistakes
no, no.
during this.
I was thinking that you will think like that. Not at all, because it is a not a very formal gathering or anything. It's all fine. Nothing like that. Yeah.
So I have considered this as one of the classes only instead of the webinar or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Perfect.
haven't prepared in that way. So I will also take care of that in future.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And the details regarding the fake journals and impact factor, that is very important for our students, because they have the confusion in their mind regarding this impact factor and all. So thank you so much for those details. And let me inform students that sir is also providing his services into the field of translation and poetry writing. So if you are interested in translation and poetry writing, or if you want to write research paper, you can contact him. Again, thank you so much, sir, on behalf of the whole HM Patel Institute. And we hope that we will listen you again in upcoming days.
Thank you. My pleasure to
Thank you
collaborate
so
with
much.
you. Thank you.